Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit today about some dating stuff. Something that comes up a lot when you're out there meeting new people is the topic of what it is that you're looking for in the future. And I think a lot of you young bucks out there, if you're listening, you're in your teens or your early 20s. Like I don't think you guys are having to deal with this as much right now, and that's good. But for anybody else that's a little bit further on in life, like for example, I'm 41 years old, and a lot of the girls I date, of course, they're 30 plus, and it goes without saying that typically women in this age bracket, for a multitude of reasons, there's nothing wrong with this, natural things, they're looking for something, you know. It's just like situation's not going to waste their time, right? They got something in their mind. They want to start a family. They want to get married. They want to have kids. They want to do all this stuff. Like I said, nothing wrong with that, absolutely at all. But they're a little bit more forward in the types of questions that they ask you when you go on these dates with them. And this is something I think a lot of men, might just kind of struggle with, like how to field these questions correctly, or at least like correctly in my eyes and in my view. And like I'm always telling you guys, like, my way is not the right way. This is just like something that I've reflected on a lot and something I come across a lot. And I feel like I've figured out the appropriate response as far as I'm concerned. But, a lot of times, like strangely enough, like things like this will even come up on the first date. When you first meet a woman, like, in the beginning, like a lot of the discourse, she's just trying to feel you out. Are you a guy that's looking for something serious? Like, do you even want kids? Do you even want a marriage? Like, do you want these sorts of things? They'll ask you these like very direct, like pointed questions. And this is kind of a loaded thing because, obviously like the way that you respond to this is, it's going to make her think and feel some certain types of things. But a lot of times I feel like it can be really unfair because if you say the wrong little thing, you set off a tripwire, it's like stepping on a landmine, and it's like she might, just immediately write you off or discount you. And, I'm coming from a place here where I think all of you guys out there know how you feel when somebody asks you a question like this, especially a stranger, especially a woman you first met. And absolutely for you women too, if some guy came at you on date number one and asked you a question like that, odds are I would be, willing to bet and put money on the fact that it's going to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But like I said, like this important element about fielding that sort of, question correctly is important here. And I just want to give you guys something to think about. As I said, the way that I've learned to respond to this sort of question is that I always direct that question back to something a little bit more important in my mind. So for example, when a woman asks me like, do you want kids? Do you want marriage? Like all that kind of stuff. I don't say yes or no to one of those things. The way that I respond to that is like, I want them with the right person at the right time in my life, if that happens and comes along. But what I want right now is a healthy, caring, supportive relationship. Let's start with that. We'll worry about marriage down the road, but like for right now, like this is what I want. And be forward and be honest and be direct about that and put it like that. This is what I've found to be the healthiest thing, the fairest thing. And I think it also provokes a little bit of thought in the woman's mind as well, because, everybody wants to like rush to the finish line. Everybody wants it like yesterday, right? A lot of women, they've got this idea, this fairy tale in their head that it's like, hey, I'm getting older and I need to have kids and I need to have all this and all my friends have these things and I need it now. I want it, need it. But the reality is, and this is all that you're really doing is like trying to like jar somebody's like mindset back into reality and be like, just consider the core elemental things that should exist in a relationship between two people before you even venture like talk about marriage, before it even becomes like a possibility between you two. It's just, like I said, something that's important, I think, to put it that way. It seems to be received a lot more positively in the women that I've met in the last couple of years' eyes than the alternative way to answer that question. Do I want marriage, want kids? I don't know. I'm not sure about that yet. Because I just met you and I'm not sure about you and I'm not sure about the situation. Like I'm trying to feel things out first, and then from there, once I feel good about it, I'm trying to set up a foundation, like build something stable and solid to build potentially a marriage and a family on someday. But like I said, that just comes back to those core key pieces about actually being in a healthy, caring, supportive relationship first before you even talk about any of those other things. And, I just think it's just such it's a peculiar point of conversation that comes up a lot. Like I said, more so for us guys that are in the, the boat that I'm in, you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, maybe even later in life. Women want to know this stuff, and that's okay. That's fair. That's fine. But I think there's a lot to be said for directing it back down to this concept of a healthy core foundation first. Okay. If a marriage comes out of that, then great. That's fantastic. That's awesome. But honestly, I think most of us would agree. I would rather have a healthy, caring, supporting, loving relationship and no marriage at all. Like, forget about the marriage, than just to have like a marriage and a family with somebody where those other things like don't exist. Okay. There's a lot, in this one that's, that you guys need to consider, but I'm just talking today, when you very first meet somebody and a woman asks you a very like sharp pointed question like this, it's hard to answer that right sometimes. But I feel like if you're honest, you're truthful, and you're direct with people in this fashion, as I've laid it out here to you guys, I think that's a lot more progressive. It's going to keep you in the game. It's going to keep her from immediately like writing you off, most likely, versus if you respond to that question in any other sort of way. And I feel like this has kind of prompted some other like very good, types of conversations, like in the beginning when you're first dating somebody, to test compatibility, to test and see if you guys are even remotely on the same page and you even got anything to work with in the first place. Okay. All right, guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll talk to you else.